Okay, hi Vince. Um, okay, let's get started on some of these, how you can practice using this spreadsheet a little bit before you go out in the real world and give it a shot at some real pianos. Okay, this is what your folder would look like. That was from the download. And the one I want you to open up first is this Littau-Conrad spreadsheet practice. And this is a group of tunings. This is actually a whole bunch of my tunings that I've copied over here, and I've color-coded the A's and then the D and the E's in the third and fourth octave. I have in blue, and the A targets are all in red. The ones you're going to be wanting to worry about mostly for entering targets in the spreadsheet at first will be the A's, and then when we get into the Adjust tab, we'll look at the blue ones. So I coded them accordingly. Like you said, these go way back, February of 17 when I started using this system. So there are a couple hundred here. Believe me, if you get through all of these and you'll know how to enter in these tunings, you'll be pretty good with the spreadsheet, at least as far as I know. You'll feel really pretty comfortable. Okay, but I'm going to make this smaller. I'm going to put this way down here, about like this, so that I can just look at one of those tunings at a time. Do that first. Okay, that's what we'll start with. All right, now the next tuning, now you've got two other spreadsheets in here. This KU only is what I call the fresh one. I cleaned off all my junk on one of my spreadsheets, and then the only thing I left in there was the three tunings that we did at KU back when I was there in summer of 18. And so this is the spreadsheet that I thought you might want to use once you get really comfortable with this and you want to start really building up your own library. Here's a fresh version that you can use. You won't really need to do anything with this now, but it's this is what this is. And so, by the way, when I opened this, I wanted to, if when you open this, you get an orange banner or a yellow banner up here, look up here in this area, up around here. It'll go across the top. It'll say something about protected view or this has security risk or something like that. Make sure you enable that. And so you're not enabling a security risk. You're saying just go ahead, let the sheet run, because the first time that you open it, it might give you that message. So if you can't enter anything in or it doesn't work, if you see any kind of an orange banner up there, you'll want to enable macros and let it do its thing. Keep clicking until you see keep clicking on those messages up there until you get the spreadsheet to work and bypass the security halts on it. Okay. So anyway, this is the still up here, the KU only. We're going to close this, and if you had any those security risks in here and you've cleared them, go ahead and X out of it, and when it says save it, go ahead and save it, because maybe you'll be able to save it and those security notices won't come up next time. But anyway, go ahead and save it this first time. But other than that, it'll save, and that way there will be it will have those security things, hopefully, maybe for the next time, set to the proper setting. Okay, but the one I want you to use are this one that I have 200615 for events. This is basically one of my spreadsheets that I just left all my stuff in there. So this has got a whole bunch of tunings in there, and it's got all my junk, and so my pianos, and I took out a bunch of them, but I left a bunch of them in, and this is what we're going to use for demo purposes right here, right now. Okay, and again, if you see that warning up there, any kind of enable, blah, 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 you want to pass through that, and this is where you are able to do what it is we're going to do. Okay, first thing you should do is hit this clear button. That orange or red, click the clear button. That clears all this, puts it back and ready to accept a tuning. Okay, down here, we're going to start with this little Kimball. And so this is the A0, A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, A6, and A7. Okay, the ones in the red. All right, so let's start with A0. Put your mouse pointer up there, and then minus 82.3, and then minus 20.7, minus 5.1, 0.8, 16.7, 4.1, 17.3, and 66. Okay, oh, did I get them right? Okay, well, let's give it a shot. Now I'm going to press this Control to Adjust tab. Now, you see these tabs down here, templates, adjust, edit rounding, and so forth. It took the settings that we have in here and put them over to here, ready to go. You can see all the numbers that it inserted. And these are the A numbers that came from our targets, most of them. But right now, we're just going to click these boxes here because we're not going to use any templates. And clicking these boxes tells the poly information, the polynomial math to do its thing. So we're not using any templates that are in the spreadsheet. We're just using a straight poly curve and we're going to start there. Okay, so first thing that we want to do is look at what the treble has done and see if the poly got the treble curve close. Okay, well this is 3.8, but our setting for A5 was actually 4.1, so we need to fix that. So we use this little red arrow and raise A5 up to 4.1 to match our mapping. And 17.2 should be 17.3. And this is one you saw in that other video that we can just raise the midpoint of this octave. And the way the polynomial curve works is it leaves the A's the same, of course. It's not touching the A's, but it's reducing. I think this was at almost 100 when we started, and now it's down to 94.7. So a little bit, but the A's are untouched. Okay. And by the way, the blue arrows are the D sharps, as you know, and these are the settings for the D sharps, the ones right above, and the A's. And this is C8, okay? This is A7, and this is C8. Okay, so now let's look at the mid-range. We've got, most of the time the A's are perfect in here. I don't know why they are here, but not up there, but that's the way they are. Okay, 82.3, and we can take a quick look at those. But here's where I check the mapping of my midpoints in the third and fourth octave. Well, on this particular one, and I've noticed this, I've done this a couple of times. We're trying to put this video together for you. For some reason, this one is just fine. I haven't made any changes in that at all, and I'm not going to. So I've got my D and E exactly correct, and this 3 minus 3 and minus 2 is also exactly correct. Now, again, I don't know why, but that's the way they are in there. So anyway, let's say we're happy with this. So go to Edit Rounding, and Edit Rounding is the next step. So we went from Adjust to Edit Rounding, and here is the Edit Rounding. This is for editing the round-off errors. Now, I'm not going to get into this with you other than to say that this is when the polynomial figures the tuning, it's working with, I think, 6 decimal points. I don't know, a whole bunch of decimal points. And sometimes the round-off errors in those will affect the tuning, where you'll have little bumps and things. That's not a bump, it's a 0.1%, and then you'll have one going down here, and this one's a 0 and this one's 3. Well, what this sheet allows us to do, and I'm just going to do this just to show you what it's for, but it allows us to clean up some of these round-off errors. Okay, so that we can have smoother increments between tunings. And we never want to adjust, we never want to change any of the key. We don't have to. The D4s and the E4s and the D sharps here in the middle of the piano, and we never want to adjust the red ones, the A's. But if we can fix a few little things in between those A's, we're good. And of course, these arrows here will allow me to adjust the A's. You can see that little 0.8. If I hit this arrow, it should be 0.9, and you see what happens, 0.8. So we can adjust them in here, but don't do it. Okay, take my word for it. I tried numerous times to get better bass tuning out of better looking charts, and it affects the mapping. Is what the mapping I did by ear, by machine, by whatever. So my targets are good. So for me to go and change things in here to get a better looking chart doesn't make sense. There are other ways to change things in here, but not by adjusting the A's. We'll get to that at some other time. Okay, so now we're done with this. Tuning looks good. So now we want to export it. So we're going to export this to Piano Manager. First of all, let's give the customer a name. So we'll call him Test, Mr. and Mrs. Test. And then we'll, the piano, this will be Test Piano. So now we're going to, now that once those are in there, we're going to add this to the database. Okay, now the piano's been added to the database. So let's go to the database and look at it. Well, the database, as you see, that's all my stuff in there, but the pianos are by default put at the bottom. So there is the piano the tune that we just created. Okay. So I'm going to show you something that was real important. In fact, I redid this video just to show you this, because I felt this was really important and didn't want to leave it out. In order to make a backup of this, and let's say to save your work, I want to show you how to save your work. You want to come over here and you want to save it, but you don't want to save it as just save. You want to have a different name. You don't want to save it on top of this one. You want to keep this one, the 615 for Vince, as the beginning. So you don't want to mess with that one. So we're going to save this as a different file name, and we're going to save it as 200615 for Vince 2. Okay, so I'm going to go over here and File, and then Save As, and we're going to put it in the same folder, but we're going to down here, when it asks for the name, we're going to put Set 2. All right, and now we're going to save. And now we don't have to worry at all about the messing up because you've got 2 in here. See, you've got this one and you got that one. This is the original that came with the download, but now you've got this one. So if you mess this one up, you still got the original. All right, so that's a way of making a backup as you go. Okay, let's go back to the templates, and let's press the clear button, and let's do another piano. Okay, how about this Schaefer? I think it's a console. Okay, minus 56, minus 13.9, minus 2.7, 2.3, 10.8, 2.9, 11.4, and 43.5. By the way, these are definitely my old triple octave tunings. And all right, so those look good. Oh, and here's another thing, Vince, while we're doing this. This is so easy now that we talked on the phone about using the partial arrangement that we use, and how easy it is now to tell how wide these double octaves are. Because if I'm tuning A3 using the fourth partial, that's A5. So if A3 is at 2.3, and if I tuned A5 at 2.3, that would be a pure double octave. But it's not. I tuned A5 at 2.9. So I can see right away I've got a 0.6 of a cent wide double octave. Now that's not very wide. This is an old tuning. This goes back to February of 17, and I wasn't tuning like I do now. But and you can look at also the A4 to A6 octave. If I would have tuned A6 as a pure double, the setting for A6 would be exactly as it is at A4. It would have been 10.8 instead of 11.4. But as it is, I tuned that only. That's only a 0.6 of a cent wide double octave. So I can tell you right now, for my taste for now, these octaves wouldn't be wide enough because of just from what I'm doing. But this is an easy way to recognize what kind of width I was getting in there. Okay, so anyway, moving on. Click the Copy to Adjust tab. Oh, and let me go back. I'll click the polyboxes. We can do it in here too. Okay, we're talking about those. Here's the other thing about this. So you want to know how wide the A2, A4 octave is. Remember, A4 was tuned to 0.0. It's tuned at A440. So the fourth partial was measured to be 10.8, but the other number for this is 0. So I can tell you very quickly, very easily, that the width of the A2, A4 double octave is 2.7 cents wide. So on this particular piano, we've got 2.7 cents wide doubles between A2 and A4, and we've only got we've got some work to do. This should be 2.9, and this should be 11.4. Okay, so, and we've only got whoops, a 6/10 of a cent wide octave between A3 and A5, and we've got only a 6/10 of a cent wide double between A4 and A6. Okay. All right. So anyway, let's get back to where we were originally going with this. Okay. Back to the spreadsheet. I'm just a little tweaking up there. You can play with that on some of these. And so these numbers match down here. And now let's look in the mid-range. And this is going to be a good one. This is why I map in here and why I balance these out, because the math in the computer doesn't oftentimes fit the piano, and I mapped these. I needed 4.8 in here to get my fifths balanced, and I needed a 4.8 on D and a 6.1 on E to get balanced fifths. And especially here, this is a different sort of an application of that, but I still want those to match because it has to do with the fifth between D3 and A3. And also that 12th between D3 and A4 that I mapped in here. So, all right. Anyway, I see I've got a 4.8, whereas up here the computer figured 5.4. Well, that's 6/10, so I need to lower this down to 4.8. And I'm going to see what that did here. I'm not going to worry about that for now. And -8 and 0. Okay, the third octave is fine. But okay, this will be a good one for you to see how we've worked with these D sharps to get a good looking curve and a smoother curve and a better sounding tuning. Okay, we've got 4/8 and 5/8, but look at the way this tails down here. All right, so watch this. I'm going to be working with if I want to raise that, in other words, reduce the differences in this area, I go to D sharp 1. Watch this. Now, is that slick or what? That's slick. Okay, so now look at my numbers. 4.7 is, I need to raise that up 1. 4.8. 4.8 and 6.1. Okay, how about that? Now this is still 10, 11. Let me see if I can get a little bit more there. Better. Okay, 4, 8, 6, 1, 8. All right, and that's just fine. And the treble's right, so this will be a good sound. See what I meant about sometimes the curve in there is just not consistent. It's not a computer curve. The piano has a different idea. Okay, enough of that. Copy to edit rounding. Okay, and you can see the edit rounding looks good. Just to give you an idea up here, I'll show you how to do this some other time. But see these little humps in there? Let's see if we can fix that a little bit. Clean that up a little bit. Okay, close enough. And here's a 7 going to a 9. Okay. All right, I'm happy with that. So once you get edit rounding done, and we could do a few more things in here, but no. Okay, so let's go to Export to Piano Manager, and we've got then this one will be test 2. And this one will be test 2. Okay, add this to the database. Okay, it's in there, and I'll take a minute to show you how it automatically put it at the bottom. So we see we got a couple pianos in there. And now if I wanted to put that in the AccuTuner, I would just load up. Oh, we haven't done any of these yet. Okay, here's the Piano Manager. We'll put test 2 on page 2. Okay, we didn't do this to the first one, or did we? I don't know. Anyway, we'll do it to this one. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to import into Piano Manager. And we're going to import from this Export to Piano Manager tab. This page is all set up to export, it's in the right format so that it will export the tuning. The Piano Manager, you can read the tuning in here. So let's put this in, this is test 2. Let's put it on page 2. And you want it to be highlighted, but you don't want that ring around it. Okay, I'll try to find it. Here's what you don't want. Okay, you don't want that box around it. Okay, you just want it to be highlighted. Okay, so then you go highlight it and then put File, then Import. We want to import from Export to Piano Manager, which might... Okay, so there it is, and I will double click on that, and there's the tuning we just created in Piano Manager. All right. So, and we also have it on the file in the Piano Manager. This is 140. This would be the SAT file for SAT4. And so, anyway, you would just send this tuning over. Let's go ahead and keep moving, and I'll close this out for now. And let's do another tuning. Okay, so let's go back to the, let's save this again. Okay, let's do that. Okay, let's say I want to save this for make another copy. So File and Save As, and we'll put it in the same folder. You should be able to find it, and it's Vince 3. Okay, so now we have 3 different spreadsheets in there. See, so the first one is unharmed, unchanged, safe. And you will find yourself messing around a few things, and sometimes you might get a little upside down, or something might freak out or something. And if so, do not save it, just close it. Of course, you lose whatever work you did there, but then go and open up one of the ones that you know worked, that you saved. Okay, so we're ready to do another tuning. So let's go back to templates. Let's click the clear button. Let's go to our page and find another tuning. Let's do this Wurlitzer console. I'm sure it'll be a lovely sounding piano. Okay, minus 58.9. Minus 12.3. Minus 1.9. And then we have 1.6. 8.4. 3.2. 9.8. 35.7. Okay, let's assume I got those right. Hit the blue button. Click the poly boxes. Check the treble. I need to make a change here. Yep, that should be 3.2. 9.7, is that correct? Nope, 9.8. And let's tweak this up a little bit. Okay, and like I said, you can do as much as you want there. All right, now we got 3.9.41. So let's go down to 3.9. And then here we have minus 6 and 0. That's pretty close. Let's see if I could tweak this a little bit and still hang on to our other numbers, 3.9 and 5.1. There we go, 3.9 and 5.1. How about that? Okay, minus 6 and 0. Well, erase that little 6 and 0, 3.9, 5. That, see, that took a little bit off there. So let's see if we can add a tenth there, 3.951. Oh, it put the 0 back. Okay, let me. Okay, I'll take that. A tenth of a cent. Nobody cares. Nobody can hear it. Okay, but it'll sound better here than it did with the poly curve. Okay, copy to edit rounding, and in here there's a few little tweaks. I'll go ahead and make this one over here that kind of jumps out at me. That's an easy one to make. And here's another easy one. Okay, and then here's another easy one. Another one, easy ones. And there's this 4. That's an easy one. Okay, so there we're done with that. And I wonder how this would work. Let's go back here. Yeah, there we go. That looks a little better on the mid-range. Did you see that? I just tweaked that right there. Okay, doesn't matter, but I'm happy with this. So we go into Export Piano Manager, and this will be test 3. Okay, add it to the Piano Manager. And did I hit that? I think I pressed that button. I'll know in a minute here. Yep, test 3. There it is. Okay, so of course, if I wanted to enter that into the, let's put it on page 3. I'm going to File, Import from Export to Piano Manager. There it is, test 3. And look at it again if you want to in here. Okay. All right, now let's do another one. Repetition. Repetition is a good teacher, so it's boring, but not boring, but... Okay, here we give it a little Yamaha T118. Okay, minus 38.9, minus 8.9, minus 1.9, 1.6, 9.2, 3.7, 10, and 35.2. Okay, so let's click the tab. Click the boxes. Do the treble. 3.6 should be 3.7. Should be 10. Tweak this a little bit. Okay, now come down here 4.2, we got 4, so let's make that 4.0. And then 5.2, it's going to be pretty close, minus 6. So 7 is a little low, so 6.1. Let me try and get up just a little. Okay, 5.2, that looks pretty good, but I got that little tail. That should be lower there, so 3.9. Oops, 4. How about that? 4 and 5.2. You watching this here? Okay, that's 6.0. Now here's a little something you could take a look at. See how this kind of gets kind of fat down here. So let's see if we can lean this up by what? By raising the midpoint of that octave. Again, we haven't touched A. We're just dealing with the shape of this. Let's see how this 4 and 5.2, 4, 6, and 0. Okay. You know, that looks nice. And going back again, on this piano, we know that A4 is not only 9.2, it's also 0. So we can tell right away we've got a right out of 2 cent wide double octave between A2 and A4. And this one, 1.6 and 3.7, we've got a 1.1 cent wide double octave between A3 and A5. And between between A4 and A6, we've only got an 8 cent wide. So actually, this would be a mistake. Again, this was done back in February. I was still finding my way with all this, but that doesn't make any sense to me to have the double octave between A4 and A6 not be wider than the double octave between A3 and A5. And this is a case where it isn't. So again, just something to notice. Okay, back to edit rounding. Edit rounding, we could do a little tweaking here. In fact, let me go ahead and tweak that one right there. Okay, that should take care of that. And how about this one here in this octave? Okay, close enough. And I suppose if we wanted to, we could, yeah. All right, do that. See, I haven't touched the D's or the E's or any of that. So, okay, now let's get up here to this. Okay, I've kind of messed around here and taken some time that probably wasn't all that well spent, but there you go. That's close enough. That looks a little better. Okay, I'm happy with there. I'm done. So I put it, now I just sent that over to piano to the export tab, and let's make this test 4. And this test 4. Okay, add it to the database. I could show you where it is, but you know where it is. And I always check, I must admit, I always check. And there it is, test 4. Okay, and then I want to dump it into the AccuTuner. Let's put it on page 4, File, Import. Okay, piano 4, there it is. Okay, so there we have that. And now let's do another one. Clear. Okay. Minus 29.2, that's pretty shallow. Minus 10.4, minus 2.3, 1.7, 9, 2.4, 9.7, and 38.3. Okay. Okay, click the poly boxes. And take a quick look here, 2.4. 9.6 should be 9.7. Do a little tweaking in there just because. Okay, and 3.9, oh, 4.2, so we need to go this way with that one. Oh, this would be good. You're going to like this one. Okay, minus 8. .3, it should be 4.2. Okay, so see, this has things on both ends going on. This will be fun. Okay, 8 and minus 2, yes, 5.3. These are close. Okay, so now let's do it. We can do either way. We would do this one here to move that red bar a little bit north. Okay, let's do it. Too much. Okay, 4.2, 5.4. I wonder if I can get a little bit. I did it. Okay, and 8 and 2, and now we've got this here. Now I'm going to leave that alone because on some of these smaller pianos, this is a U107. Sometimes they do kind of tail off, and I'd rather leave that alone. So okay, you see that's got that tail there. Like I said, the only way you could kind of tweak that a little bit is to lower the midpoint and maybe get a slightly better looking curve, but it's going to be minor, and I don't know if anybody would hear it, but it's let's see if we messed up anything. No, everything else is good, so I'll take that. Trial and error. All right, now this is a little bit more involved in this edit rounding part. Okay, see if we can clean this up just a little bit. All right, I'll take it. I mean, I can mess with it for how much time do we have? Okay, so I'm happy with that. So I click on the Export to Piano Manager, and then this is now test 5. Add it to the piano database. Again, I go to click on piano database. I'm sure it's in here. Okay, test 5. All right, let's say that we've had enough of this fun for the time being. And let's go ahead and enter it into the AccuTuner, or enter it into Piano Manager on page 5. Okay, so now we've got these 5 tunings entered into the Piano Manager, and they're all ready to go into the AccuTuner. That's really all there is to it. All right, but let's say now, I'm going to close this. And oh, by the way, to save this, let's say I wanted to save this, like this is really, like these are real pianos. So I just go File, then Save As. And see, this is all my AccuTuner tunings. These are all SAT files. And the way I keep track so that I never really have to worry about losing anything is I just change it to have a different name. And I use the date. So today's date, 2006. Let's make it something that 18. Okay, so I'll save it. And now, if I wanted to open it again, I can go to this one, and there it is. Or if I wanted to open up the one right before it, where we started with this, I think it would be this one, or so forth. Okay. So anyway, I've just saved that. So I've saved all our work, and there. Now we're going to save all our work again with the spreadsheet. And again, we've been saving these with a different name. So eventually, what I would recommend doing was, as you do this File and then Save As, I would drop the Vins part. And just use the date. Okay, and if you do 3 or 4, make it A or B or C or so forth. Because if you do it this way, then all your files will line up according to date. Okay, so save. And you still have, and now I'm going to close this. And so now that you've saved it, it shouldn't ask me if I want to save it. It just closes it. And the same way down here, this one will not need to be saved because I haven't made any changes. But see, now you've got 16A, which is the most recent one. And you still have the original, plus you've got a couple in the middle, and so forth. So what have I missed? What have I forgot? Okay, well, I think we're there. I think at least for this should get you started playing with the spreadsheet and getting comfortable. And believe me, if you do go through those tunings a bunch, you'll find some questions, and I bet you'll have, well, gee, Bob, what about the one on page 65? What did you do with that one? And the later ones, I think, in that group will be a little bit more our triple octave plus fifth arrangement, but it doesn't really matter at this point. It's just a matter of putting numbers in the spreadsheet and finding out where the tabs are. And the, how do they call it, the path going through it. the routine to go from one step to the next and then into the AccuTuner. Okay? All right, Vince. Well, hey, all the best on working with this. And have any questions or anything, just let me know, and we'll go from there. Okay. Thanks. See ya.